a story that is likely to revolt anyone watching it. A 3-month-old baby girl battling for life after she's been beaten brutally, bitten, and reports say even burnt with cigarette butts. The man responsible for it is apparently her father Farooq, who wanted a boy. He's now been arrested, but a traumatized mother so far has kept changing her statements, apparently in fear of her husband.
Another case of a battered baby.
It is a very, very tragic case.
Another case of a battered baby.
The other big news we're tracking coming from Bangalore.
बच्ची पैदा हुए जब से इसका ये बच्ची को बहुत तकलीफ दिया, मासूम बच्ची वो इतना तकलीफ दिया, उसे दिल भी कैसा होएगा, हमारा कलेजा फट जाता है मासूम बच्ची को.
3-month-old Neha Afreen is so critically hurt, we do not want to bring you her pictures. Even in words, though, the horror comes through.
Baby is not able to breathe well, so the baby is on ventilator and is having multiple convulsions.
The nature of the injuries?
Either bitten or hit by something or thrown, we don't know exactly. In the CT scan shows bleeding inside the brain.
So this does not appear to be the first time that the baby has been battered?
It's been happening for the last 1 month.
It seems to have become horribly familiar. A battered baby girl fighting for her life inside the ICU of a hospital. In this case, it's little Neha Afreen, allegedly battered by her own father. Her fault, in his eyes? She was not born a boy. The police say that Umar Farooq had harassed his wife for dowry, and that when Afreen was born, he tried to kill the baby several times. But shockingly, either out of fear or social pressure, the wife refuses to blame him outright.
मेरी बेबी को मैं नहीं कह सकती कि मेरे हस्बैंड ने किया है बोल के, क्योंकि बेबी तो पहले भी वीक थी. इसीलिए मैंने जब नाइट में उठ के देखा तो बेबी के ऊपर कंबल था, कंबल के अंदर मुंह में कपड़ा दुपट्टा रखा हुआ था, मुंह के अंदर था दुपट्टा, उसके ऊपर पिल्लो था. मैंने हस्बैंड को पूछा है क्या हुआ है, उन्होंने कहा तकिया है ना, मैंने सिराने रखा था तकिया, और कंबल मैंने उड़ा के था, उन्हीं बाजू में रखा था, हो सकता है चूस के उन्होंने अंदर ले लिया होगा बोल के.
Afreen's story comes on a day a minor girl has been gang raped in her school, a 3-year-old raped and killed, and another 10-year-old raped. This is what we as a country hold out for our girls. With Alphonse Raj, Maya Sharma in Bangalore for NDTV.
Joining me tonight on that tragic story is Neena P. Nayak, Chairperson for the Commission for Protection of Child Rights in Karnataka. Ms. Nayak, tell us the details you know of this story, because besides what we just heard in the report, we know also that baby Afreen's mother is herself one of 4 daughters. When she had been reported this abuse to her father, he didn't seem very interested as well. Tell us what the latest details you have on this case.
See, this is a very tragic story of a young girl. She must be 18 or 19. She looks very young, and she was forcibly married to a guy who had already been married earlier. And the boy's party, her in-laws, had kind of fabricated the story that the first wife had just run away, which was not true. And after the marriage, she got married on the 5th of December 2010. He said the things were okay for the first couple of months, and then he started physically abusing her. On 2 occasions, the family had to intervene. It is not that the family, her nuclear family abandoned her. They did intervene, and they told her that, see, this is not all right. They made a police complaint. They wanted to take her back home, but she kind of resisted it because her husband kept relenting his abuse and said, no, I'll change my mind, I'll improve. So the woman, the little young girl, didn't think of any other options. So she thought that somehow she'll make this marriage work. But what really horrified her was the last 2 weeks when he started assaulting and battering the baby. And then she said it became a little too much for her. And the doctors told us that he had bitten the child's buttocks, he had put cigarette butts. And the child is, the child looks fairly healthy for a 3-month-old. Yes. So it looks like the young mother had nurtured the child fairly well, had great hopes and dreams for her child like all mothers do. Yes. And this last 15 days, it became too much for her to handle.
No, in fact, you're right, because the photographs we're seeing there, the photograph of the young mother and daughter, presumably after about a month, shows the young mother with lots of love, a smile on her face. You can see how much she loves her little girl. And then, yet, the tragedy of the fact that today she's told our reporter that, perhaps it wasn't my husband. There was a cloth on which is covering her face. Maybe she did it by mistake. So she's clearly torn between figuring out how she will bring up this baby in the future, and of course not being able to withstand the torture she's seeing her baby go through. That's a tragedy or a trauma so many other young mothers face.
Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think this young girl who had dropped out in class 7, this is what we do to our girls. We don't want our girls. And especially from the minority community, we see a lot of them just dropping out, the high rate of dropping. So why don't we empower these girls? Tell them that there is an option to live a dignified life. We need to show them, and we need to have a quick response system. Something like this happens, immediately she should be able to talk to somebody. She knew that if she comes back to the family, there's nothing really rosy to look forward to. The parents were also in poverty. They were struggling to make a living. They had got these 4 children, 5 children, out of them 3 of the girls married. So she knew she would be a burden if she gets back home. So this is not an isolated story. We are talking about 170 million children in need of care and protection. We have a juvenile justice system. We have a new integrated child protection scheme sitting. But I really regret to say that we are not protecting our children enough. There needs to be huge systemic changes. We need to be available to them. We need to see where they can go and get kind of solace, where they can get support, where we can intervene. And this woman needs to be sheltered.
On paper, there seems to be so much happening. There seems to be so many shelters available. But we've seen the case of baby Falak. I mean, that shocked India. But 1 month later, we see a similar case here in Bangalore. We will, of course, keep focusing on that story and the help which will reach out to this young mother and her baby. Thank you so much, Ms. Nayak, for joining me tonight.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.